Picture this. It's 2 a.m. in a consulting war room. You know the vibe. Monitors are glowing, the coffee is definitely stale, and an exhausted analyst is staring at a massive presentation they've literally been pouring their soul into for days. The pressure is on, and the stakes for tomorrow's client steering committee are incredibly high.
Right there on the screen sits a beast of a draft deck. 70 slides. 70! It's documenting weeks of grueling data gathering, hardcore number crunching, and complex analysis. And honestly, to the analyst, that slide count feels like a total badge of honor, right? It proves how hard the team has worked. They are totally ready to drop this mountain of evidence on the client.
But then, the partner walks in. Armed with that dreaded red pen, they review the deck and ruthlessly axe about 80% of those slides. As slide after slide just vanishes into the trash, the partner hits the analyst with the most devastating question in consulting. What's the so what? Because here's the harsh truth. Clients do not pay millions of dollars for pretty pictures, or to see how many late nights you pulled. They pay for clear recommendations.
Section 1. The 70-slide War Room.
Look, watching days of hard work vanish is a really tough pill to swallow. But it forces a massive, absolutely crucial mindset shift. A bloated deck is basically just a container for work completed. It's a graveyard of dead ends and, neat little charts that prove you did the math, but don't actually solve the problem. A truly great deck, it's a lean, logic-driven decision support unit. Every single element exists for one reason only, to help the client make a critical choice.
Section 2. The Slide Survival Test.
So how do we figure out which slides actually survive the partner's red pen? We run them through a totally ruthless filter. First up, you have to ask, does it answer a logical question? When you present, your audience is taking in information one sentence at a time. If your slide doesn't clearly answer a question that naturally formed in their mind from the previous slide, it breaks their concentration entirely. The logic has to flow seamlessly.
Next, we check if the information directly backs up our main recommendation. And guys, this is where you have to be absolutely brutal with your own work. Cut out anything that's just neat or interesting. If a data point isn't explicitly acting as a stepping stone to your ultimate solution, it's just noise. Get rid of it.
And finally, the ultimate hurdle. Ask yourself, would the client's decision actually fail without this specific piece of evidence? If you delete the slide and the client can still confidently agree with your recommendation, that slide was useless. If the answer is no, hit delete and don't look back.
Section 3. The Pyramid Principle and SCQA.
To rebuild that broken deck into something brilliant, we lean on Barbara Minto's legendary pyramid principle and the SCQA framework. Any great client intro has to follow this exact flow. You start with the situation, something the client already knows and agrees with. Then hit them with the complication, the trigger, the core problem. This naturally begs a question in their mind. And boom, immediately, you hit them with your answer, anchoring the entire presentation right off the bat.
Now, what's fascinating is how the actual thinking process works behind the scenes. It's totally bottom-up. When you're in the weeds doing the raw analysis, you're clustering data points together, synthesizing them into a single higher-level thought, and just building upwards until you finally reach your ultimate conclusion. But, and this is a huge but, when you build the deck for the client, you have to reverse it. You present top-down. The human brain craves the summarizing idea before the details, so you deliver the main answer first, at the very top of the pyramid, followed by your key line, basically your three main supporting reasons, and only then do you slot in your detailed evidence slides underneath those reasons. This means your actual slides have to strictly mirror this pyramid structure. You can't just throw charts at the wall and hope something sticks. Start with text-driven situation and complication slides, introduce your key line points, and then drop in your specific graphic support, the charts and the data, exactly where they defend a specific point. It's a structured architecture.
Section 4. Me-See and Issue Trees.
Honestly, the absolute best way to keep a partner from deleting 50 of your slides is to not make them in the first place. And that requires pristine, upfront problem solving using Me-See. You already know this, it's the golden rule of consulting logic, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Your top-line issues can't overlap, but together they have to cover literally every single possible angle.
By sketching out a logic tree, you map out your exact criteria before you ever even open PowerPoint or Excel. Say you're comparing solutions, your criteria might be, is it faster? Is it cheaper? Is it easier to implement? You structure your entire analytical effort around proving or disproving those specific branches, and nothing else.
This naturally builds into an issue tree that forces you to figure out the right level of action. Instead of bringing the client some vague list of issues that just leads to rambling research, a logic tree forces you to identify exact alternative solutions, like, say, cutting costs by changing procedures versus decentralizing. It takes vague, fuzzy problems and turns them into highly targeted streams of analysis.
Section 5. Hypothesis-driven analysis.
When you combine these tight logic trees with an initial hypothesis, you get a ready-made outline that completely stops you from boiling the ocean and doing pointless analytical work. Ultimately, if your hypothesis-driven deck is built right, you should easily pass the famous 30-second elevator test. Think about it. If you step into an elevator with your client's CEO, can you rattle off your answer and your 3 key supporting reasons before the door is open at the lobby? If you can, your storyline is tighter than a drum, and you'll only need a handful of slides to prove it.
This whole anti-deck method really boils down to one ruthless but incredibly necessary mindset shift for anyone walking into a presentation war room. You've got to stop trying to prove how hard you worked. Stop trying to be interesting. Start focusing 100% on the decision the client actually needs to make.
So, as you gear up for your next big meeting or complex analysis, I want to leave you with this. Take a hard look at your slide deck. What if stripping away your hardest work, those super complex, late-night charts you're so proud of, what if doing that is actually the only way to let your best, most critical ideas soar? Try the anti-deck method. Delete the noise and just watch your impact multiply.